Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. Basement Talk, episode number 6. I know it's been a minute. I haven't been able to connect with y'all like I wanted to. Life gets busy, but I ain't going nowhere. I'm here to stay. I promise you that. Shout out to the people who are asking about Basement Talk. When is the next episode coming out? So I got good family, friends, and peeps that follow and ask about it. So that's love. I appreciate the support. So shout out to the YouTube family and also shout out to the TikTok family. It's all love this way, right? This episode is titled My Fault, right? So again, before we get started, just a special shout out to all the friends, associates, and haters. Yep, I said it just like that. I hope all is well, and no matter what you say, do, or think, I still love you. That's my word. I know you're like, dang, B, we ain't talked to you for a while. You know, what is that all about? I just think I'm going to start my shows off like that from here on out. Because truly, if it wasn't for the haters and the associates, right, and the true friends, I wouldn't be who I am today, right? So I'm going to keep it real, right? So without all of you, I can't be Brian. People going to hate. We got some real ones. We got some people I just talked to. That's just the way it go, right? This is a real podcast. So, you know, the cool thing about this is that you get to choose what you want to do, what you want to be. So pick one and stick with it. Just be real. You don't have to like me, but you watching me. You know, or you can be my ride or dies and we can roll out together and just be cool and honest with one another, right? I can't ask for nothing else but for you to just be you, regardless of what it is, right? Cool. That's you know, I just want to lay that on the line, right? But I am gonna start my shows off like that from now on. So just get ready and just be real about it. And as a matter of fact, it seems to me that some folks don't really like the fact that I do this, right? Which let me just throw it out there. I really don't care, right? Just be happy. It's just for me. And I always say this, like, man, what I do and what I talk about is just for me. It has nothing to do with anyone, right? I'm not out here name dropping, and be happy I'm not name dropping or pointing a finger at people, right? All those things are not part of growth, if that makes sense, right? In fact, they are excuses. So I don't want to use people as excuses. I don't want to put the blame on people, no matter what the topic is we're discussing. It's about me, right? How can I do better, right? And we're going to jump into this. I like this episode, right? It's called My Fault. Just remember that growth starts with me/you and not them. So keep that in the back of your head when you start evaluating yourself, right? Your growth starts with me or you, not them. Remember that. Got it? Cool. Let's move on. That's my cool introduction. I just wanted to throw it out there like that. Man, today's episode, we are talking about both you and I. The question is, when is it your fault? Right? And I bet some of you already answered, never. It's never my fault, man. Skip that. I'm sorry to tell you this, but all of you that said that it's never your fault are a bunch of liars, right? Yeah, I'm gonna be harsh. I'm gonna be stupid harsh this time around. I don't even care, right? The truth is that we have all been at fault in our lives, right? We are just too ashamed to admit it. To admit it most of the time. We just don't ever want to admit the fact that it's our fault. That we're too prideful to accept that we are indeed wrong. Period. Right? I like to start off with this. I use me, of course, as an example, right? There's been many times where I hated to admit that I was wrong in general, right? Or that I made the wrong choices in life, whether it was personal choices, work decisions, parental choices, etc. Right? The truth is that it's the worst feeling in the world because of the consequences it may or may have caused, right? No one ever wants anything to be their fault, ever. Like, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You never want it to be your fault that your child is sad or they can't have the things they want. It's just a bad feeling. Like, no one ever wants to experience that and go through that, right? Like, I'm truly a living witness of this now. What about you? Like, ask yourself, right? Is it easy for you to tell yourself that it's your fault, or is it easy for you to tell people or tell someone it's your fault? Can you tell yourself and tell someone it's your fault? If you can, that's love, honestly. And I know that took you some time to be able to do that. Not many people can do that. Just sit back and say, hey, you know what? It's my fault, man. I take full responsibility for this. No excuses. It truly is a hard thing to do, right? You can't just out the blue just blame yourself for everything. But to be able to come forward, it's definitely something that you have to build in order to just admit it and move on, right? And those are serious questions to ask yourself, right? Honestly, that's such a hard thing, or was a hard thing for me to do, because I always try to explain myself, right? And I got a story that I'm gonna share in just a minute, but I just always had a hard time being like, that's my fault. Like, if you harm your significant other, or if you said something wrong to your best friend, or you made some messed up choices out in the world, and it was truly your fault, it was just hard to be like, that's my fault. We try to find excuses for the reasoning why you do certain things, and it's really no excuse, right? There is no excuse. Like I mentioned before, like, we don't finger point and try to figure out what's the excuse for our actions. Like, no matter what, you're at fault at some point. You're in control. You have to work on your faults, right? We're gonna dive in a little bit, but let me share this story with y'all. And it's petty. When I tell you that it's petty, it's straight. It's straight petty. Straight petty. I'm gonna share it. This is a true story. Maybe like a few weeks ago, my wife told me I left the freezer open, right? And she let me know I left the freezer open the night before, right? So this was morning time when she was talking to me, and I was like, I didn't leave no freezer door open, like. And what happened was, we got ice cream the night before. We was watching TV, and my daughter was in and out of the ice cream, or in and out of the freezer as well. But I was the last person to get some ice cream and sit down and then watch a movie, right? And no one else went into the freezer after that. So, me, being who I am, I woke up with a straight attitude, right? So this was the morning time, and I was like, yo, first off, you didn't even say good morning to me. So I already was trying to figure out something, I was hot already. So she said, Brian, you left the freezer open. And I was like, man, what you talking about? I didn't leave no freezer open. We got a 3-year-old. Like, maybe she went in there. She ain't going there. And my first reaction was, dang, you didn't even say good morning. Like, don't come at me about no stupid freezer. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And so this was the first conversation I was having in the morning, so I really didn't want to hear that. So, I was like, man, can I just get up first and focus? And so then next I proceeded to explain that I closed the freezer after I retrieved the ice cream out of the freezer the night before. Now, please, like I'm telling you, please believe me when I say this, right? I wasn't trying to point a finger at anyone, and again, I mentioned before, I do have a 3-year-old, and we was in and out of the refrigerator all day. And I knew, I remember I closed the door. So I went into defense mode. Right. And I don't even want to hear it. Long story short, I didn't close the damn freezer. Just like that. I didn't close the freezer all the way. And I had to admit it was my fault. But I didn't admit that it was my fault at first. I went into defense mode. Like, no, denial. That's a better word. That's a better word to use. Not defense, denial. Right? I couldn't have done that. Wasn't me. Wasn't my fault. So what? Oh well. And the more I sat and thought about it, right? It didn't even have to escalate to that point, right? There was no reason for me to go from 0 to 100 over the freezer. Straight up, right? I was so frustrated that I couldn't even explain myself to my wife. And so she was like, screw you, Brian. For those who don't know, my wife is part Italian, and so she didn't use the word screw you like I said it, but her correct spelling for screw you is FUCKYOU. I'm gonna let y'all figure out the rest, right? Figure that out. And you know it was loud. Because she's Italian. So, yeah, I caught that fire, right? So, but I was hot, especially after that. You know, you get hot when somebody tell you, screw you, the way she said it. You hot. But I was hot for no reason, though. Excuse me. I was absolutely hot for no reason. It was truly my fault. Ugh. Don't you hate having to admit that? Like, ugh, that was my fault. In my mind, I was going, she won the battle, but the war is not over. I'm totally joking, but maybe a little bit, because I can't believe I lost the argument, man. I don't go down like that. No, but totally joking, right? But that was a good example of something so petty and still being shameful of not wanting to face the fact that, Brian, you left the damn freezer door open. That's it. Period. There's nothing else to explain about that, right? That was just a small example of not admitting my faults, right? And that was dumb. That's how petty we are, though. I use myself again, but think about some times where you just had a petty argument where it was no reason for you not to tell yourself it was your fault. And go ahead, think about it. I'm gonna sip my Diet Coke. Did you think a little bit? Let's go a little deeper, right? We can go a little deeper. Let's take it to the relationships, right? And not too personal, but take it to the relationships. All relationships have their faults. As far as I'm concerned, both partners are at fault at some point in time during your relationship, right? Our issues are that we like to rate our faults towards each other to the point where it becomes a tit for tat game or revenge on one another. Does that make sense to you? Then you both do things and not caring, won't say sorry for hurting one another. It's a downhill effect from there, right? No matter what either one of you do, you both are right all the time. And oh well, sounds harsh, but true, right? It's like living with two stubborn people. Where you gonna get to? It's gonna go nowhere, right? It's gonna go absolutely nowhere. Sit back and think to yourself, am I adult enough to say I'm sorry? Right? Are you adult enough to say sorry? Some people pride is so big that it's just not in them. They never sorry. Never. And I can't believe it, right? I can't believe it. But at the same time, though, those same people who are never sorry, when the tables are turned, then, they want you to say sorry to them, or, make it up to them some type of way, but they don't want to do that to you, right? We're gonna touch on that in a little bit too, because believe it or not, I'm on both sides of the spectrum here. Like, I was that person, and I had to transition into a different person. I shouldn't say transition, because no one fully transitioned into a brand new person, but I have a better understanding of how this works and how it needs to work, right? In order for it to work. That makes sense. Oh, I'm getting real good, man. I'm telling you, man, boy, I be speaking. My grandma wanted me to be a preacher, but I still ain't feeling that one. So, but I got a little juice in me though. I feel it. Let me get back to this stuff, man. Oh my God, it's good to have fun and have a good spirit while you're doing it. So we asked ourselves, are we adult enough to say sorry? I'm gonna make you think a little bit, right? Let's make things simple here. How many times have you bumped into someone because you were not paying attention, but you got mad because they were in the way? Come on now. That's like walking down the street, right? And you trip on the cement because it's uneven. Then you look back on the ground like it could have moved because it saw you coming. Like it's the ground fault you tripped. Man, your clumsy self saw that there was a little bitty bump, and you still tripped over. That's your fault, not the ground. And I know half y'all sitting back laughing because I know y'all trip over something, turn back and look. I don't know why that bump is there. I'm going to call the city. Come on, man. It's cement. It's ground. It's uneven at times. The earth shifts. Like, come on. Stop playing. But it's not your fault, though. It's somebody else. Somebody else's fault because, that ain't natural. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. Y'all tripping. Literally, y'all tripping for real. Right? And I know some of y'all laughing because some of y'all probably tripped on the way walking in the house and looked at your own steps. What you gonna do? Sue yourself? Come on, stop playing. Basically, what I'm saying is, especially for me, is that we need to redirect our minds to be a little more accepting and understanding. Again, man, listen, I'm no doctor. I'm no therapist. That's why I focus on myself first. A lot of mistakes we make in life are simply our own fault, whether we want to admit it or not. Right? Society teaches us to be perfect. In reality, it's truly impossible. They beat you up so badly for all the wrong choices because because that's news to folks, especially TV media, social media, etc. Right? There's simply no room for error, and our minds tell us that it's not our fault. I make no mistakes because mistakes are not accepted. Right? You can't live in a fantasy world. Right? Me and my daughter was just watching the Barbie movie today. Right? And we watched Barbie transition because somebody else was like, yo, I'm kind of getting tired of Barbie here. So, let me push her to the side. And, the fantasy world, really what Barbie thought was supposed to last forever. Well, a reality check kicked in like, no, you're passing through life and you no longer want to play with this Barbie doll. You're being forgotten, right? So we don't live in a fantasy world, right? This is real life stuff, right? It's okay to be wrong. It really is. It's really okay to be wrong. Some people learn from it right away. Some people don't. It just, I guess it's the way you play your cards, but they're human beings no matter what. No matter how you see it, it's growing and a learning process, right? If you don't see the damage from it now, you definitely will see the damage later down the line, right? Let me say that again, right? If you don't see the damage for not taking on your faults and claiming them and accepting them, if you don't see them now and don't do something about it now, you're definitely going to run into that again down the line. It's rough. It's so rough, right? And it's an embarrassing conversation to have, right? Even when I was writing this, right, I still had self pushback because I didn't want to admit that truly a lot of things that go on in my life is my fault. No matter how you look at it, right? You know, folks, we have to learn how to say sorry and admit to being wrong when you're wrong. Yes, again, this includes myself, right? Let's stop coaching folks like we're perfect and just work together on things. And please stop judging one another. Man, how can I put this? You would think, put it like this, you would think there was more, as much judging that people do, right? And even your partner or your girlfriend, your best friend, your co-workers, whatever. You would think that there's more God than the Bible speaks about because of all these perfect people that's walking around here. Because I only know one person that's perfect, right? But the way people act and talk, there's no room for mistakes. They judge you because they got their perfect life together. Get out of my face. Ain't nobody perfect. I don't want to hear nothing. When people start even sound like they're perfect, I zone out. I cut them off, right? So yeah, we just have to learn how to work with one another, and move on through life, right? I know no one forgets, right? How they've been treated or things that's been done to them. No one, right? But if you're gonna work through it, through the faults, because both of y'all have areas, and I'm actually gonna put something together, right? I'm actually gonna put something together at the end here which this is gonna make sense to some, and not so to others because they're perfect. And you'll see where I'm at. And really just we gotta, if you go stick in a situation through the faults, learn how to say sorry and grow and learn, then you'll make it, right? If you don't, and it's best for you to move on somewhere else, but still admit your faults, then you have to go that route too, right? Again, it's a growing and learning process, right? I'm opinionated. Hello, this is opinionated, but to me that sounds right. It makes sense. Now let me also throw this out here like that, right? I want us to think about who's watching us and our actions and reactions to these things that we say and do. Let me help y'all out. Our children, right? I figure I'll touch on the children a little bit here. If they're used to seeing mom and dad go at it with no solution, right? How do you think they will grow up? Again, let me raise my hand. I'll answer this for those who can't think right now, or maybe they're in denial. They will always be the kid who is never wrong, probably a bully, stuck up, non-approachable, judgmental, and non-forgiving. And guess what? I'm never sorry for anything. And it'll just carry on into their adult life. So we sit back and we ask ourselves about fault, right? My faults. We ask ourselves about that, right? Your faults. Yes, we have or are in situations where you are not at fault. Hear me out. This is where I said I was going to come back to. Since we are all not perfect, though, and if you believe that, then you will understand and recognize that there's still room for improvement in all of our lives, right? Although you may not be at fault in whatever situation you are in or the cause of the situation that you're in, you still can evaluate your situation and ask yourself what you could have done better for yourself in that situation that could have possibly benefited both parties or the scenario. All right. Now, a lot of you disagree, but if you think you are perfect, then yes, you are right. If you are real with yourself, then you'll know what I'm speaking about, and I'm speaking the truth. Again, we're not here to point fingers. This is self-growth. So you're not going to hear from me, you should have cussed this mug out, or you should have did this, or I would have left this person or did that, blah, 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 blah. Them are all personal choices, you know. But for growth, how the key word is better. How do we get better? Everything that I talk about, every topic, no matter what it is how do I get better? How do I grow from the situation? Whether I'm a knucklehead, whether I'm the worst male in the world, whatever. It could be wife, husband, daughter, son, co-worker, boss, whatever, whoever. How do you get better? It don't happen overnight, but it's a process. You got to start the process. That's good, man. In this world today, you know, we see so many troubled children and adults because of this, right? We can never pinpoint our answers to the madness. And guess why? It's our fault too, right? We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out everything around us. Why it's happening. Do this. Point at yourself, right? I promise you, when this get right, everything else around you get right. It makes sense to you. You know, and the question is, when will you admit it though? That's the real question. When will you admit it? Yes, again, we have to admit to these things. It never goes away. But all it takes is one yes. And when you do that and you start showing that it's okay, things around you will follow suit. Your children, your wife, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, families. You might even change some of these haters I talked about at the beginning of my show. All those things, right? To make people better. Right? A simple yes. After that takes place, though, all of our conversations and understanding with one another will be better. Will it be easy? I always tell you this. No, absolutely not. Day to day, it's a struggle, day to day. But we can no longer point the finger at someone or something. We can no longer blame social media or TV media because we are in complete control of it. And I know it's surrounded by us, but when you're dealing with children, turn it off, monitor it. When you're dealing with yourself, turn it off, monitor it. Control is access to everything everywhere, but it's on you whether you want to be involved or not, right? You got control over your faults. All right, I'm just bringing it back real quick. Man, we blew a short fuse, but we back at it. That was a first. But I was wrapping up anyways. I was talking about, we can no longer blame social media or TV media because we control everything. We control our faults, but we can fix it, right? A simple confession, right, with meaning behind it will definitely help the situation and get us on the right track as far as admitting to our faults. So this is something definitely that we all can work on. And I use myself 100%. 100%. I started using that word. I used to make fun of my wife. She was like 100%. And now I'm using it. I even heard her mama say it one day, like 100%. I said, oh no, this is contagious. Jeez. But it's true. 100%. We start admitting our faults. It just makes life a little easier. Right? Listen up. This is my time before another fuse blow. But I really do appreciate you guys listening with understanding. Very opinionated. Again, this is opinionated. This is for me. This is self therapy for me. But I just want to be a voice to those who are scared to speak up or want to speak up, or they don't think no one is listening. They want to be heard. I'll use my platform for you. Right. I can't be selfish because I know I'm not the only one struggling in life over these different topics. Right. And this is not a cry for help. Let me get that straight, because there are things and people in place to help you out. But this is just something to put into your spirit, into your soul, your heart, to make you kind of think a different way and let you know that somebody else is going through the same thing you're going through. Right. So just keep that in the back of your head. Again, it's been my pleasure to connect with you. Until next time, y'all know I'm a musician. So my saying is, all the world needs is real people in music. It's your boy B. Jennings Jr. or Brian Jennings Jr. I'm signing out. God bless. And you know what? I love y'all. Peace out.